So there's a massive new economic partnership being forged, right? It's between India and the European Union. And really, this whole deal can be summed up by one almost unbelievable number. $24 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the sheer scale of the handshake we're about to decode. It's a number so big, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around. So what does that number actually mean? Well, it's the combined market size of the European Union and India. We're talking about two absolute titans of the global economy deciding to join forces.
And believe me, people are noticing. Insiders are already calling this the mother of all deals. And in the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly why it's earning that name.
Look, this isn't just another trade contract being signed. No way. It's being framed as a modern, rules-based partnership for really deep integration. It's designed to power India's economic vision for 2047, all at a time when, global supply chains are being completely rethought. At its core, what we're talking about is a free trade agreement, or an FTA. And if you're not familiar, it's pretty simple. It's a pact that makes it way easier for goods, services, and even people to move between India and the EU, mostly by slashing those pesky tariffs and cutting through red tape. So, what's in it for each side? Let's start with India, because the biggest, most immediate headline is about one thing: getting unprecedented access to a huge market, which should lead to a massive export boom. And what's so remarkable here is just the sheer scale of this change. I mean, look at that. The EU is basically throwing its doors wide open to over 99.5% of India's exports by trade value. This is not some small incremental change. It is a fundamental rewriting of the trade relationship. So how is this all going to happen? Well, it all comes down to the elimination of tariffs. Those are the taxes that Indian goods used to get hit with when they entered Europe. As soon as this deal kicks in, over 90% of India's exports will face zero duties. That makes them cheaper overnight and instantly way more competitive. And this is where you really see who wins. Take textiles and apparel, an industry that employs millions and millions of people in India. Those tariffs of up to 12%, poof, gone, dropped to zero. That opens up a $263 billion market. It's huge. Let's keep this going. Leather and footwear, another massive employer. These products were facing tariffs as high as 17%. That made them way more expensive than their competitors. Now, it's a level playing field. Zero duty. Okay, and now look at this one. For marine exports like shrimp, tariffs were a staggering 26%. That drops to zero. This is an absolute game changer. It's going to turbocharge India's blue economy and give a massive boost to its coastal states. Okay, so that's a massive, undeniable win for Indian exporters. But hey, this is a two-way street, right? For the EU, this whole deal is a major strategic push into one of the world's fastest-growing markets. So what's their side of the bargain? Let's just ask the question that's probably on your mind. Are you actually gonna see European products getting cheaper on the shelves in India? And the answer is yes. But, and this is a big but, with some very important nuances. For you, the everyday consumer, you might start seeing some specific items become a little more affordable. We're talking about things like premium fruits, European apples, pears, kiwis, and also some processed foods. They're all going to see tariffs reduced. But honestly, the bigger story for the Indian economy is what gets cheaper for businesses. Think about it. High-tech machinery from Germany, critical aerospace components. Getting cheaper access to this kind of advanced technology actually lowers production costs for Indian factories, which in turn makes them more competitive on the world stage. Now, here's that crucial nuance I mentioned. Unlike the immediate day-one benefits for Indian exports, a lot of India's tariff cuts for the EU are going to be phased in gradually, over 5, 7, or even 10 years. It's a much more strategic, staggered approach. And India has been really careful to draw some red lines in the sand. Key, sensitive sectors like dairy, cereals, and poultry are being protected. The goal here is pretty clear: balance opening up the market while making sure to safeguard the livelihoods of Indian farmers. Now, this deal is about so much more than just, boxes on ships. It's also about building a human bridge, especially when we start talking about services and professional talent. See, the agreement creates a whole new mobility framework. which is going to make it far easier for Indian talent to work in the EU. And we're not just talking about short business trips. This streamlines the whole process for long-term transfers, and it opens new doors for independent experts in really critical fields like IT and R&D. And get this, here's a really unique cultural win. Practitioners of traditional Indian medicine, think Ayurveda and yoga, will now be able to go and provide their services in parts of the EU using their qualifications from India. It's just a fascinating little detail that shows you how deep this partnership really goes.
Okay, so let's zoom back out and put all these pieces together. When we look at the big picture, what's the final verdict on this pretty historic agreement?
So, who are the big winners? Well, this breaks it down pretty clearly. For Indian exporters, the benefits are huge and they're immediate. For the EU, it's more of a strategic long-term play, securing access for its high-tech industries in a booming market. But, maybe the biggest winner of all is the global supply chain itself, which gets this powerful new access of stability and integration.
And that's the crucial point. This deal isn't just about cutting some taxes on goods for today. The real goal here is to fundamentally reshape the economic relationship for the next generation, creating a resilient alternative to old trade routes. And, well, it aligns perfectly with India's long-term vision for its centennial in 2047.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. With a $24 trillion handshake on the table, you have to ask, is this the single agreement that will redefine the global trade map for decades to come? I guess only time will tell.